So let's update the situation in relation to the introduction of those new driving licences, the €55 credit card type licences, which may in time double up for identity cards. Dan Buckley of the Irish Examiner is with us. Dan, what's this about where you have to get your picture taken for use on these new credit card style driver licences?
Hi there. Well, yes, that's going to happen from September. From January 19th next, the new credit card size licences will come into force. But it's part of a process being brought in by the Road Safety Authority. So between January and September, you can still supply your photograph either taken by yourself if it's of good enough quality, or by a local photographer, or as happens quite commonly, a local pharmacy. However, the system is going to be centralised from September on, and it means that a company appointed by the RSA will have offices around the country. You will have to drive to those offices, and we don't know how many offices they're going to have. They say they'll have one in each county, maybe more in some, but you could face a prospect of a 4-hour return trip. But it means you have to present yourself, have your photograph taken by this company. It's called SGS. It's a multinational company with headquarters in Switzerland. They will have offices around the country, and you would have to have your photograph taken by them. In other words,
will the photograph be covered by the €55 charge, or will there be an additional cost for the photograph?
No, there won't be an additional cost. But I mean, that's already doubling the the current licence costs. That was in the December budget. They went up from 25 to 55. No, you won't have to pay any more than that
to get the actual photograph taken. Yeah. Okay, let's bring in Darragh Connolly from the Irish Pharmacy Union. Is this going to be good business lost to your members?
Evening, Matt, everyone. Yeah, there is a loss of business to pharmacies, but the big one here is that there's a huge loss of convenience to people, particularly, I'm talking to you now from Dungarvan, so you'd know Dungarvan. Dungarvan is kind of halfway between Cork and Waterford, maybe 30 miles from Clonmel. So what's going to happen in Dungarvan? We currently have a driving licence in the tax office, so I go and I do my business in Dungarvan. Am I going to be told to go to Cork, Waterford, Clonmel? And the licence that's been granted to SGS, they say that they are going to cover 98% of the population will have no more than 50 kilometres to go. Now, in
50 kilometres is still a lot when you have to put the cost of petrol or diesel, time off work, parking when you get somewhere.
Precisely. So I value my time off, and I also have to pay for the diesel that goes into the car to get there. It's very frustrating that somebody out there thinks that I have absolutely nothing better to do than to take a half a day to go and get this done, when there's a perfectly good system for doing this in place already, and it's called your passport. Now, I wonder, and, I don't want to be too conspiratorial about this. This is not about driver's licenses, and this is not about pharmacies and pharmacists or photographers taking your picture. This is about getting everybody's picture onto a database. And I would just feel much more relieved if Noel Brett and the people at the RSA would say it is what it is, and if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, that's what this is about.
That's interesting. So you think this could be part of a backdoor method? Well, maybe we're going to conspiracy theory too far, but is it possible that this could be a backdoor method to the introduction of a national ID system, that even the existing passport photographs are not going to be regarded as secure enough because they may be taken by somebody who's not in a position of authority to take the photograph and endorse it as official?
How the system is currently working, right? And you're absolutely right, as it said so far. There is nothing in the system that says that the pharmacy photograph is not of a good enough quality to use for identification purposes. And it was only this morning that the RSA were able to tell us that. There's a one-off loss to pharmacy in this, which is to say that as you present yourself for the new driving licence in September, not now, but in September, you must present yourself and have your photograph taken. That photograph, Matt, is stored on a database. If it turns out that 6 weeks later you are there checking your pockets and your wallet, where's my driver's licence, I've lost it, you then go back to the Gardaí, you fill in the form that says I lost my driver's licence, and you get back in touch with SGS and they reissue you with the new licence. Now, if it's a case that that's 5 years later and maybe I have no hair on my head but I have a beard on my face, I send them a new photo which is generated from a pharmacy. that photograph is scanned and it's used to make the new license. So it's only become apparent today that it isn't that there's a quality issue with the photograph generated by a pharmacy or a photographer, or if you have the technology and a proper printer yourself at home because it's something you like doing, that you generate your own picture. The crossover that happens is that what happens to that picture, if that picture is stored, and say somebody in social welfare wants to know what Matt Cooper looks like, can that person then log on to the database that SGS have to see what Matt Cooper looks like?
There's a few listeners accusing us of going all Jim Carr on this one, so we better be a bit careful.
on a Friday evening is right.
All right, Darragh Connolly of the Irish Pharmacy Union and Dan Buckley for the Irish Examiner, thank you both very much for joining us.